All systems go. Clear for takeoff.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the SHIPIT Nation PGA First Look for the Scottish Open this week. We have the Barbasol going on as well, and the prize pools for that are very, very small. So not a ton of content there. Not much that we're going to cover. But the Open Championship prize pools are very big. They look pretty standard in terms of what we can expect on a week-to-week basis for these PGA Tour events.
So that's basically what all our content is going to be based around this week. That's what our shows will be based around, the Scottish Open. Big, solid field. I mean, a lot of the top golfers in the world kind of use this as a tune-up for the Open Championship, which will be next week. And that is obviously another major, and the prize pools are massive for that. A few milli makers, I think 2 milli makers already out. But this week, like I said, prize pools are very big, pretty typical, week to week sort of prize pools in the industry. So that is what our content will focus on this week at SHIPIT Nation. If you're not a member, $59 for the month, $599 for the annual package. Gets you absolutely everything on the website, PGA, MLB. We got best ball content. NFL's right around the corner. MMA content, which has been massive. Title and Big Marley doing a phenomenal job with that. A weekly show, Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then all their content is pretty much finalized by Friday. A lot of big winners this week. I know we had at least one guy that chopped the top prize of $30,000. So congratulations to all the winners this week in UFC. We also had some big PGA winners as well, Showdown and Main Slate. So the content pretty spot on this week. Last week and this week, we're looking to kind of repeat that success and see if we can even do better over at SHIPIT Nation. We have a core report, which gives you the core plays for myself, Tambo, Cash Core tier rankings, which kind of ranks our favorite guys in each tier. We have my top 30, which is my top 30 overall guys with the exposure that I have on those guys. Tambo slate plan, which includes some additional cores for different types of lineups. And then his full breakdown of how he plans on rounding out his teams and the sort of builds that he's looking at. So all that's part of the product over at shipitnation.com. In terms of the Scottish Open this week, like I said, the field is loaded. Just wanted to kind of pull up the odds here and kind of see where we're at. Scotty Scheffler is obviously the favorite, 6.5 to 1. Rory 7.5. Cantlay 12 to 1. Xander 14. Hovland 18. Ricky 18. Yeah, finally up there, Ricky, man. It's turned it around. It is kind of cool to see. We'll get to him. Obviously, pretty cheap price tag, I'd say, considering where his odds are at this week. And this show is always just a first look. We're just kind of diving through, looking what stands out from a pricing perspective. Nothing really beyond that. And then tomorrow at 3 Eastern, myself and Tambo will go into a more in-depth look, and then all our content will start to come out Wednesday. The times on this are obviously a little bit wonky because of the time difference. We'll get a lot of overnight golf, essentially, depending on where you're at in the country. But it's going to be a very early, I think it's like a 6-7 hour difference from East Coast time. So a lot of times they're teeing off at 1, 2 in the morning, which is kind of, if you're a night owl, it's pretty sweet because you get to stay up and watch golf. I'll catch the end of these rounds as I sleep a normal schedule and get up at normal times. I'll catch the end, but it's fun. Different change of pace, I guess you could say, for the next couple of weeks. All right, let's pull up the field here, which we have. Obviously, the pricing just came out. Scotty Scheffler 11.6, Rory 10.9, Xander 10.4, and Cantlay 10.2. Yeah, tough to cross off any of these guys, honestly. I mean, Scotty Scheffler just playing phenomenal golf. I mean, you look at these results, it's crazy. He doesn't have more wins, but that's fine. I mean, 10th at the Masters, RBC 11th, 5th second, third, fourth. It's a truly incredible run for Scotty. I'll have ownership here, but in these fields that are pretty loaded, this I'd definitely say is a loaded one. People tend to go stars and scrubs, and I like that there is a $700 price difference between him and Rory. Maybe it keeps the ownership down a little bit, especially if people look at the odds and see that Rory's not too far behind Scotty in terms of the odds to win this thing. Very similar. Rory on a great run dating back to the PGA Championship, 7th, 9th, 2nd, 7th. So basically the same thing as Scotty over the last 5 events, but a few spots lower. $700 cheaper. I think they probably end up similar type ownership. Then you come down Xander and Cantlay, always popular plays, 10-2 and 10-4. Both guys. I think ownership does kind of get spread out in this range. I guess, and I could be wrong, somewhere in the upper teens to low 20s for all these guys. I want to get as much Scotty as possible. I think he's the best golfer in the world. Rory scares me just like a little bit. And then between Cantlay and Xander, probably lean Cantlay, but we'll have a more in-depth look tomorrow when myself and Tambo go through. 9K range, Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Hatton, Ricky, Fleetwood, Spieth, and Lowry, and Wyndham Clark. Fitzpatrick seems a little overpriced for what we've seen from him lately. I get that this is overseas, so maybe he gets a little bit of a boost. You look at the odds, he's 22 to 1. Some of these other guys are more in the teens. Seems a little overpriced to me. Like I have a hard time, just not getting up to that 10K range if I look at him, and then I also have a hard time not going below him. I'm sure maybe ownership is a little bit lower on him, but I just have to play these other guys. And the next three are the ones I like a lot: Hovland, Hatton, Fowler. I mean, Hovland's been having a phenomenal season. At these good events, which I'd consider this a solid event. He's just had a lot of success. Hatton continues to play really solid golf. 27th at the U.S. Open was a little bit of a step back, as he had been top 15 or better in, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 straight events. Ricky Fowler, coming off the win at the Rocket Mortgage, just playing great golf all around. I mean, you look at it, the only blemish on the record here is the PGA Championship. Outside of that, just all top 15 performances since like March, and he is 18 to 1 and only 9,500 here. So interested there too. So like Hovland, Hatton, Fowler, very interested in. And then like this next group, maybe play one or two. I mean, you got Fleetwood, you got Spieth, you got Lowry, and then Wyndham Clark. Spieth has been very up and down. Tommy Fleetwood, a lot of good finishes, some missed cuts. I think you do give him a little bit of a bump though with this being played overseas, where he tends to play a little bit better. Spieth has been kind of all over the map. Lowry has been pretty steady, but we just haven't seen anything like way up there, top 10 or better. But again, he might get a little boost here as well. And then Wyndham Clark's just having a phenomenal season. Had the win at the U.S. Open, the win at the Wells Fargo. I think his game is now kind of getting to that point where he can probably contend like anywhere, any sort of course. So probably interested in him. Have to figure out some of these other guys though. But Hatton, Fowler, and Victor Hovland kind of stand out to me at first glance. 8K range, some more question marks at the top. Minwoo Lee, kind of a surprising price tag, I'd say. 8.9K. His odds to win this week so they're up there, 35 to 1. I mean, he's been playing good. I mean, there's no denying it. 15th last week at the British Masters, 9th at the Travelers, 5th at the U.S. Open. He can contend in these better field events, but I don't think many people are going to click the 8-9. Max Homa at 8.8, another, I'd say, price tag that kind of stands out. In this type of field, you'd expect him to be more 9K range, so I think a lot of people probably get to him. I'd imagine Justin Rose gets a lot of ownership at 8.7. Same can be said for Sung Jae, who finally starting to play a little bit better, 29th at the Travelers, 24th at the Rocket Mortgage. I have a feeling on the show tomorrow with Tambo, we might be hearing a little bit more about Mr. Sung Jae, as he tends to like him. Tom Kim, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people thought he was back. Rocket Mortgage, not very impressive there. Missed the cut. Just never got anything going. Sam Burns, just not a guy for me. I know a lot of people like him, but I'm just not a Sam Burns guy. And I think like one of the more interesting talking points this week is Justin Thomas, what you do with him. 8.3K, I mean, is a cheap price tag. He had the 9th at the Travelers, and we all kind of thought like, all right, he's back. And then he finished almost like dead last at the Rocket Mortgage last week, opening with the 76. Like, I mean, that course is so easy. I don't even know how it's possible for a guy like him to open with a 76, bounce back with a 69, but that's just like average at the Rocket Mortgage. A 69 is probably you might be close to losing strokes to the field with a 69. So hasn't been good for him. Aberg, I'm just going to keep playing. The guy's a stud. He was great last week at the John Deere Classic, fired the 63 in round 4. I want to be on him. And then Scott and Connors to round out. Seems like kind of cheapish price tags for both those guys, to be honest with you. So a lot to like here in the 8K range. Do us that favor if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, helps us out a ton, kind of making this push towards 2,000 subscribers. That would be great. So like, subscribe, and if you're not a member already, get on over to shipitnation.com. $59 for the monthly package, $599 for the annual package. Gets you access to everything of all our normal PGA content, and then showdown content as well for rounds 2, 3, and 4. So get on over to shipitnation.com and give us a chance. Football right around the corner, cheapest all-in price in the industry. 7K range is obviously big. It's always a big range, and it's very important when you go through and build lineups. As a lot of times you want to end here, not necessarily go down to the 6K range. 6K range is going to be tough this week, and very tough for me to break down, just because there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of unknown guys. People talk about it like they know a lot of these guys, man. It's just not the case. Like, there's very few people in this industry that know these dudes down here at the bottom in the 6K. There's a lot of names that I've never heard, but when we get down there, we'll talk about it. In the 7K range, I'm just going to kind of go through and talk about things that stand out. Alex Smalley, coming off the solid T2 last week at the John Deere, had the 9th at the Travelers, 25th before that. He's playing really solid golf. I think he'll get some looks this week. Aaron Rye, another guy, been playing solid. I mean, you look at it, 4 out of his last 5 events, top 24 or better. Interesting play. Højgaard, coming off a win last week. Where his last time? Yeah, it was last week. On the World Tour, Maiden Himmerland. No clue what that event is, but he went out there and won it. I imagine that will lead to some ownership. Sahith, always, I think, more of like a showdown play for me. Haven't really seen many solid finishes, but this price tag is cheaper than it's been. Dietrich at 7.5, I think it's interesting. We have Ryan Fox, a guy just continue to play whenever he's available and typically does not disappoint. Seamus Power, solid week last week, but that was at the John Deere Classic, and really, I mean, outside of that, really hasn't done much. Doug Gim made another cut last week, finished 26. I'm just riding this Gim wave right now. It's been good. Eric Cole, solid last week. McIntyre, I think, is a play. Austin Eckroat, disappointed at the Rocket Mortgage. Prior to that, was just on an absolute heater. Maybe a guy that we can kind of look at. Keith Mitchell, price seems pretty cheap for him. He hasn't been great, but now he's at the price point where if he makes the cut and finishes like 20th, he'll take it. Like, he's way, way down here. So interested there. Yeah, I could potentially play Jordan L. Smith. Tends to do well in these sort of events. Don't necessarily love it. Garrick Higo, very solid last week, and that marks 4 out of 5 made cuts, 21st at the John Deere. I have a lot of interest in him. Patrick Rogers, I keep talking about on these shows with Tambo. Like, people always love him, and he just doesn't do anything. And I can't remember if I did end up playing him or not last week, but another miscut at the John Deere. Just no thanks. Like, I don't want to play that guy. Yeah, so those are the initial thoughts there in the 7K range. It's a lot of plays. And like I said, there'll be some popular plays in there because people tend to stop there. They don't want to go down to the 6K range as it gets pretty nasty. that's what you'll see here as we kind of travel into it. There's not much that you want to play. Davis Riley is a guy that's kind of trending in the right direction. Really solid last year, fell off hard. Now kind of coming back a little bit. 54th at the Memorial, 45th at the Travelers, 33rd last week at the Rocket Mortgage, kind of trending in the right direction. I'll give him some looks here this week. And honestly, there's not going to be a ton for me down here. We'll have a deeper dive tomorrow on the 3 p.m. Eastern show with myself and Tambo. Kevin Yu, though, is a guy I do like. Very solid last week. He's made 4 out of 5 cuts, and he has the potential to get up, when he makes the cut. 7th at the AT&T, and then 6th last week at the John Deere. You want to see that. He's not just making cuts, falling apart on the weekend. He's making cuts and doing something with it, so I'm interested in him. This Lawrence guy I've played some in the past. Yeah, I mean, he has a win, BMW International. Yeah, so maybe we play some Lawrence at 6.8K. Harry Hall, I keep trying to make this guy work and hasn't worked out all that well, but 6-7. I could potentially play a little bit of him. Michael Kim, 6.6K, missed the cut last week. Might look at him here a little bit. Callum Tarrant's a guy that really, really hurt us last week. I was very high on him. He's been playing very well, kind of fizzled, but 6.5K. I think he's definitely worth a look this week. There's a couple. So MJ Dafu, if that's how you pronounce his name, got on him last week. He was playing fine, kind of fizzled out round 4. Started out hot round 4. I know he made a couple birdies, but then kind of gave him back. Finished 35th, but again, at 6.5K, you're looking for a cut, and can he get into the top 20? I think that's the case, to be honest with you. So there's some initial names down here, just seeing if there's anything else. I'm not seeing much else. We'll talk about more of these guys tomorrow, but I think there's viable guys down here. Obviously, a little bit risky. And again, a lot of people avoid this range and kind of stop at the 7s, but I don't mind playing a few of these guys and maybe find some more tomorrow when myself and Tambo kind of go through it all. So, yeah, that is going to do it here for the PGA First Look for the Scottish Open SHIPIT Nation. If you're not a member, get on over, shipitnation.com, $59 for the month, $599 for the annual package. We'd love to have you. And our motto over there, we're always looking to improve, which we've done, and add on, which we've done as well. And we have a lot of good stuff in the works for NFL season. So get in now while the price is cheap before it goes up. Appreciate everyone out there for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe, and then also tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. Myself, Tambo, breaking it down tier by tier on the PGA show over here at shipitnation.com. Be back next week with another edition of the First Look. It's going to do it. Let's ship it.